I am happy to be joined with Dennis Hancock. He is the president and CEO of Mountain Valley MD. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm great. Thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's we've been chasing you around for a little bit here, but finally got you on. But wow, a lot of talk around the company. We've seen tremendous growth over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, probably a very exciting time for the company, but a lot of hard work, I would assume, that's being put into this. Correct?
Yeah, it's definitely been a great group effort. Lots of sleepless nights getting it done.
Yeah.
But awesome output. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're a groundbreaking technology company of nutraceuticals, vaccines, and pharmaceutical markets. Trades on the CSE under the ticker symbol MVMD. So I want to begin. Why don't we try cutting through all the noise when it comes to the investment world? Because it seems like there's so many industries that are thriving right now. So if you want to tell your story, why should investors, do you think, should care about MVMD right now?
Yeah, what a great question. And just to do that short will be hard, but I'll do my best.
Yeah.
We have lots of different cool opportunities, but if I were to sum it up, we're taking the best drugs and vaccines in the world and we're making them better. And so we apply technologies that help them deliver more effectively into the body, distribute outside of cold chain, tackling solubilization issues with ivermectin and COVID applications. We're doing very advanced trials and studies. And so all of that creates massive opportunity. Each one of those things are multi-billion-dollar problems that we're solving. And that's why it's exciting.
So have you seen more of an attention and growth from what's happened over the past year related to COVID? And if so, what kind of potential opportunity, I don't want to look at this as strictly as a business opportunity, but maybe just walk us through what that opportunity does present to you as far as what you're doing on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, it's great. So COVID obviously is topical. It's I've seen something almost 30 trillion now global, impact economically. And then of course the lives, which are even more important than that, over 2 million now globally deaths. So COVID, it's impossible to talk about ivermectin and our solubilization technology without addressing the significance for all of human and mankind. So we are, perhaps the best thing to describe solubilized ivermectin is taking a world-class drug that's highly insoluble, and we've applied a technique to it that allows it to be the viscosity of water, so 5,000 times more soluble. And solubilization is the holy grail for every drug. The more soluble, the more bioavailable the drug is, and the easier it is to, reach the desired impact inside the body. So as related to COVID, we've just announced that we're proceeding with a BSL level 4 COVID clearance trial.
Which is incredible.
And they take up to 3 years to even get, on the radar, let alone fast track to get in and run it. So we'll be starting that at the end of February, and it's a 60-day process. Very exciting.
That's through the FDA?
No, that's not the FDA project. We're doing stuff with the FDA in polio, which I can tell you about in a minute. But this is strictly ivermectin, taking a wonder drug, making it more soluble, and proving there's a mountain of evidence that's happening to surface now, right up to the World Health Organization on the benefits of ivermectin. But what people don't know is there's a oral form of ivermectin that's not soluble. And so we've already done preclinical trials with a format, a rapid dissolve wafer. If you just think of a chiclet that melts in your mouth, our trials showed, that we can use 1/5 of the drug, or the API in this case, which is ivermectin. We can lay that down, deliver it sublingually across the mucosa. And we're doing that with 1 hour onset versus 6 hours to an oral comparison, 5% variability versus 40%. Every metric is better. And then where I was headed with the subcutaneous comment, today there's an injectable form that's not safe for humans, that's used in horse and cattle, like large animal, swine, etc. It's this texture of molasses, if you imagine, requires a thick gauge needle. Now you can take a solubilized format and it's safe for humans, whereas that has harmful organic excipients. There's nothing sanctioned by the FDA. Our product uses only 2 pre-approved excipients from the FDA. Now it's safe for human injection. And why that's important is our preclinical trials showed a 15-minute onset versus a 36-hour subcutaneous comparison with 0% variability versus 40% variability. The ability for that to be considered for human adoption for frontline, you just imagine every frontline worker that instead of putting you on a ventilator, now I can inject you with a medical precision and certainty. IV drips, all of that. So that whole COVID category, although timely, we didn't start with COVID in mind. We started with a broader therapeutic, like the future of biodefense, husbandry, animal health, the relationship between animals and humans, and all of the parasitic outbreaks. And we just knew most would say Mother Nature's softball is COVID, even though it's destructive. There will be much worse pandemics following.
You mean, think about that, but yeah, you're absolutely right. But you mentioned like the idea of getting people off of ventilators, because that's obviously been the main concern through COVID itself. Like that's groundbreaking, I would think. Do you have a lot of interest right now with regards to any big pharma companies and conversations that are ongoing?
Yeah, so I have to be very delicate here with the NDAs, but one of our lanes that you're bringing up, of course, is how do we bring this product to market? And what I sort of answer from our business strategy, without a doubt, our scale comes from licensing by molecule. So each molecule has different interests of different partners. Licensing a molecule and licensing the territory for that molecule, if they're a North American based or overseas, depending on what the interest is. So that's how we go to market. It doesn't preclude us from doing our own thing. We've got some fairly advanced projects. Candidly, just exploring how might we move even faster than we've seen pharma's capable of. I'll leave it at that, but we're not resting. There's people dying right now, and we can do more. And that's the lane we're working in.
Well, from my understanding, like when you bring up ivermectin, like it's, basically used to treat infections for bodies that are caused by parasites, correct?
Correct.
So it's currently being investigated, as you said, for treatment with COVID. You've been fast tracked into like phase 4. What was the feedback, I guess? Walk me through as to why it was fast tracked. What was the impressive thing that they, in addition to what you've kind of outlined already, but, not everybody comes along and is fast tracked into a phase 4. Walk me through like what exactly they were interested in, and what was some of the stuff that they are looking for that obviously made this at the pace it's currently developing at.
Yeah. So to clarify, it's a phase. When you use the word phase 4, I just want to make sure there's no misunderstanding. It's a BSL level 4. It's a biohazard facility. So it's the most extreme environment, where obviously this type of virus is treated and tested, so because we're doing fully infected viral clearance, it requires that type of facility. You could technically get away with a BSL-3 trial, but we weren't taking any shortcuts because we're actually working on the new variants in this trial as well. So the South African variant, which is already proving more deadlier and moving faster. So we're intentionally going after the toughest test and the toughest environment for a reason, because we're that confident. And then to your question, well, why would anyone, our preclinical data, again, remember, there's no injectable human form of ivermectin today, right? There's nothing that's the solubilization that we have. And if it is, it's not used because of, birth defects and all the harmful organic solvents. So there's been attempts to solubilize ivermectin, but not successfully. So it's a pretty big deal. And you could imagine the precision IV drips, frontline emergency responders as someone comes into the hospital setting. And then the second kicker, if you think of this rapid dissolve wafer, even just to be able to distribute that without water. In some countries, the water is more expensive than the drug.
Right.
How do you now give doses of oral tablets, first of all, that aren't effective, or people are taking, husbandry animal class drugs just because of the momentum right now. So now you take something that uses 1/5 of the drug, right? The excipient, the 2 excipients that are not harmful to humans already, and you give it in a format that works faster, more effectively, remains in the tissues longer. It's pretty exciting. And that's how you start to go after broad community health. That's how you can go after malaria. People don't realize that mosquito-borne illnesses, if you have something that you can dose an entire, I'll just start with whatever the ecosystem, if it's a village, just for the analogy. If I can inject something, and even in water supply for animals, husbandry categories, dose the entire population of humans in that market, everything the mosquito feeds on will kill them. The ivermectin will be at a level that can wipe out a mosquito. So not only are we talking about COVID, and there's some really exciting applications for an intentional viral clearance or breaking, it's almost like putting a net around a viral outbreak, but you can also more strategically do a broad sweep and start to, tackle mosquito-borne viruses, dengue, malaria, Zika virus, there's so many of them.
Right.
And these are they're world-class problems in.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, like, where are we today? And, you obviously are speaking to a number of well-rehearsed and obviously educated people across the world, but what can we expect, I guess, moving forward? Because you talk to the average person and they're like, just get me to spring and hopefully COVID's done. And it's just like, it's almost like we're fighting against the wind. I don't know when this is going to end. Maybe it's the acceptance that we're going to have to live with this. And then you see obviously different strains that are coming along in the UK with different viruses related to COVID. What can we expect, I guess, moving forward? And why, well, I guess, again, what's the business opportunity for you when it comes to a lot of the stuff that's unfolding?
Yeah, so a broad therapeutic that's administered like vitamin C globally is, I think that's enough said. It's a massive opportunity and something that just isn't happening or possible today. So that's very exciting. The path to market, sort of to the second hint at your question, is, why are we doing this clearance trial? Because it's going to accelerate the next business development phase. Two other things that we're working on, as you would expect, and I'll make a formal press release if any of this becomes material. I don't want to feel like this is confidential, but it wouldn't surprise anyone to know we're also working on a parallel human trial, and I'm in the final throes of figuring out, can we also accelerate, given the safety data that exists on ivermectin, to include ourselves in a leg of one of the largest trials that are going on in the world. So that's happening. And then in the third lane, we're looking at a 505(b)(2) pathway into the US, which is driven through the FDA. And you can present safety data for existing drugs, because this is just a reformulation. And that could also present a fast track. All of these are 6 months or less, if you think about the outcomes of them. And there's other countries that have, we're very litigious in North America, as you know, because of just, the culture and the environment. So the standards in the FDA and the protocols are obviously, they correspond with that risk. So there's a lot of other countries in the world. It's not because lives are worth more or less. They just realize, they're not building a drug infrastructure to take care of litigation. They're dealing, so there's other avenues that are even faster to market when we don't focus, on the US and Canada alone. And so of course our company's pursuing all of that at a speed that would surprise all of your viewers.
Yeah. Well, I look at ivermectin, that you're working on. In addition to that, you have the cold chain logistics. It's been news, obviously, around COVID. We see these rollouts of these vaccines. What should we take from all of this? What's the biggest misconception about the vaccines right now? And, what's the, I guess, strategy or answer, or is there an answer at this time to fast track a lot of this stuff?
Yeah. So to answer the first part of that, like, one of the biggest learnings that I had was, you would just assume, like, even cold chain, sort of a new household thing because of these extreme COVID vaccines that require extreme refrigeration and such. But COVID is getting the star of it, but the normal vaccines that get distributed, even the work we're doing with polio, I naively just assume that they get where they need to get to, and that we can manufacture it.
Right.
And I'm fascinated to learn that the work we're solving on cold chain, 90% of the third world countries who need it, the most disadvantaged, that need the vaccines, frankly, can't get them. By the time I read something, over $35 billion of vaccines are disposed of each year that just don't make it where they're supposed to go. So it puts pressure on the production and manufacturing.
Right.
There's over 17 billion in pharma and drug logistics a year that just to get refrigerated stuff. And people should understand that cold chain is just 2 degrees to 8 degrees. It's just this band of making sure that stuff is refrigerated, and then it goes through escalated temperatures as it, it can come out of the fridge for X hours, X days. There's a
100%, right.
So we are working on testing right now with the FDA that will go up to 45 degrees Celsius, taking something with our QuickZone technology, laying a thin film, 1/20th, 1/10 of the polio vaccine, something in those ranges, laying it in a vial, shipping it outside of cold chain, and then rehydrating it in the local market for administration.
And distribute that anywhere in the world.
Exactly. So now the most disadvantaged countries and people and populations can get the vaccines that they need. And that's how you eradicate polio. That's how you truly, bring an end to the scourge of some of this disease.
Wow. Incredible. Where does one even begin with these ideas? Applaud you for obviously what you're doing, right?
Yeah, well, we have, Mike Farber is our principal inventor. He's the original patent inventor of the QuickZone technology. And I pursued Mike very aggressively, early in this business because I knew delivery differentiation would be really important. And we have done a lot of work. I liken it in North America, we all get this analogy of, I'm coaching Wayne Gretzky. I have to make sure they have the right ice time, but they need a team around them, even though they can get goals. They need an infrastructure. And what's been amazing about Mike, he's just such a brilliant mind and a crazy inventor. I describe this ecosystem of change makers that we built in this company, but we're not naive to think that we're the only change makers. Mike's brilliant at embracing the talent of those that have gone before us or that are working. And so the work we're doing with the FDA, we've learned just as much as we've helped them with, like Dr. Chumikoff, his father was the original inventor of the oral polio vaccine. Our vaccinologist, third-year specialist, John Clements, we learned just as much from him. And so when you collaborate with brilliant minds, change makers aren't about being smarter than anyone else. It's embracing those that have gone before you. And, the team we built around Mike to the Wayne Gretzky, he gets a lot of goals because
I hear you.
Figured that out.
Well said. Looking at your chart over the last 60 days, up over 400%, you've seen tremendous growth. Valuation right now, you're over $500 market cap. So if you're new to the story or you're currently invested in the space that are looking to maybe increase their position, I know your answer is probably going to be yes, it's a good time to get in, but do you feel the company is overvalued right now, or do you see tremendous growth, both short-term and long-term?
Yeah, but it's a fun question. People ask me all the time about, this question.
I'm sure you love that, right?
I'm not one to throw, here's the number, but I can comfortably say, I feel like we're one of the most undervalued stocks on the planet.
Yeah.
The work we're doing.
The planet. Wow.
Yeah, because, people that quickly figure out, again, there's nothing we're working on that, some people say, oh, you guys are good marketers. It's like, no, when you start to understand just ivermectin, its ability to impact every husbandry animal, every companion animal, and every human on earth, those aren't little problems we're solving. They're not little, and we've already proven enough data to the market that if you're not awake listening, we're already better. We have the best pharmacokinetic data on earth with ivermectin. So, and that's just that one product. So why am I excited about our performance? That reason,
right?
Those are the things that give our exponential. I will say the final part of my answer is I 100% am not building a share price. We are building a company. We're this change maker analogy. We're building a collection of incredibly talented people that are given an environment to do more. And I know when we build a great company, of course, the share will fall.
Right. Formulations fast track, big talks with big pharma, very interesting story that's unfolding. Please keep in touch with us, this incredible story that you're building out, and most importantly, we appreciate your time, taking the time to sit down with us here today. Thanks.
Yeah, awesome. Great to connect with you.
Yeah, you as well. Let's keep in touch.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.